Welcome back to Chocolate Covered Pages. I'm Kiona, and today I'm going to be talking about my favorite books that I read in 2021. So let's get into it. So at first I was trying to narrow it down to like a top 10, top 15, but then I was like, why am I doing that? I have 16 books that I really enjoyed and I want to talk about, and this is my shit. I could talk about however many I want to talk about. So let's get into the books. I'm not going to rank these. The only ones that are ranked are the top 5. They're like the creme de la creme. The rest of them are just books that I really enjoyed this year. It's not to say that the other books that I read were just not that great or just had better writing. It's just that these, for me personally, really hit the spot in 2021. So the first set of books that I want to talk about is going to be the Butterfly series, and I'm going to go with 1, 2, and 3 because these books reminded me of why I love Ashley Antoinette's writing so much, like why I fell in love with her writing. These books are the second series in the Ethics series. If you read the Ethics series, the Butterfly series is the second series after that. This is urban, I guess it's considered urban romance. It is so good. So good. If you watch some of my other videos, you know that I was very fed up with the Ethics series at a certain point, but I feel like with this Butterfly series, Ashley is really bringing it. Like, I was stressed. The Butterfly series follows one of the characters from the Ethics series, and this is just kind of like a continuation of what's going on with this character and all the drama going on in her life. The men, I mean, how could you be between so many men? Like, it's crazy. It's drama filled. I love it. You should definitely pick it up. I mean, you would have to start with the first book, which is Moth to Flame, and then you would go to the Ethics series, which is 6 books in the series, and then Butterfly 1, 2, and 3. Butterfly number 4 also came out, but Ashley Antoinette been playing with us, and I know that book 4 ends on a cliffhanger, and I don't have the patience for that right now. Like, I will get to it. Hopefully nobody spoils me, but you know, I'm not trying to read number 4 until I know number 5 is lurking around the corner somewhere, because yeah, I cannot. That is one thing that I do hate about this series. All these damn to be continued. It is very annoying, but if you can look past that, this is a very good series. It's so good. The next book I'm going to talk about is Somebody's Daughter by Ashley C. Ford. I do not own this book. I got it from the library. And oh my god, this book had me on just like, when I tell you I was crying, your girl was crying, I mean, for an entire hour. And I think that the reason why this book hit me so hard was just because I have such an emotional connection to what is going on in this book. So let me tell you about this book. This is a memoir about Ashley C. Ford and pretty much how she grew up, her relationships with her parents, her father. We find out in the beginning her father has been in prison for most of her life, and she really loves him, and you know, for a long time she doesn't know why he was even in prison. She never knew. She just knew he was in prison and she just couldn't wait for him to get out. But eventually she finds out in her adult age, like, why this guy is in prison, and it changes pretty much everything for her when she finds out why he's been in prison this whole time. And she also talks about her relationship with her mom. It's so complicated, like relationships between mothers and daughters, and I always love to read books with that show that relationship and the complexities of it, because she's not trying to drag her mom or her father for that matter in this book. I think she's just kind of presenting it like, this is my life, right? This is my life. These are my relationships with my parents. It's complicated, but you know, we're gonna make it work. Basically, that was what I got from this book, and I really appreciated that. There were moments in this book where, you know, I was a little annoyed with her mom, because I just feel like her mom just didn't, like, I'll give you an example. Like, her mom would, you know, found out that someone that they know, their kid had been molested. And instead of having, like, a regular conversation with her daughter and educating her and explaining things to her, it was just kind of like, oh, you better tell me, because, you know, and it's just like, you scaring the girl. Of course she's afraid to tell you. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I do want to also mention that it is trigger warnings for rape in this book. So please keep that in mind if you do decide to pick it up. The next book I want to talk about is Angel and Hannah by Ishle Park. And I really enjoyed this novel. This is the type of YA novel that I love. It's written in verse, which is my favorite because it's just like one long dope ass poem. And I love these types of stories so much. So this is a retelling of Romeo and Juliet, but it's like I felt like I was reading like a hip hop poetry slam, because I just found the writing to be so beautiful and so dope. It is set in New York, which, I mean, can it get any better than that? I love books that are set in New York. Like, you talking that New York language to me, I'm gonna eat it all up. So we follow Hannah, who is a Korean American teenager, and she meets Angel, who is this Puerto Rican kid, and they meet at I think they meet at a bat mitzvah. First of all, it heats up very fast between the two of them. It heats up very fast. This book is the definition of like young love, okay? Young love, young toxic love, okay? Because I don't know, I wasn't feeling Angel too much I wasn't feeling Angel all that much, but you know, I'll give him a pass because he's a youngin', but it's all about like their relationship, them living together, the things that they're going through, and it's just so real and gritty. Like, I love that type of I love books like this. Love it, love it. And it's so fast because it's written in verse, so I read it in like one day. It was really good. I would definitely recommend this for young adult readers, but on the older end, like I would say like 16 and up for sure. So the next book I want to talk about is Caul Baby by Morgan Jerkins, and this book was such a surprise for me, a pleasant surprise, because Morgan Jerkins, this is her first novel. Like, the book that she wrote before this was a memoir called This Will Be My Undoing. I read that and I really enjoyed that. So when I heard that she was coming out with a novel, I was like, well, of course I'll read it. It might not be good, but I'll read it, you know, see what it's hitting for. And I was pleasantly surprised. Like, I felt like this was very well written, like very well written. So their skin, even if it's like little pieces, when it's placed on someone else's body, it can give healing properties. So this family is very sought after for their Caul. Like, everyone is trying to get a piece of them, literally. I mean, another book set in New York. What can I say? I love books set in New York. Everyone is trying to, you know, get to this family because there's always some kind of ailment, and you know, this family is making big money by selling off pieces of their body. And of course, you know, if you're selling pieces of your body, you're cutting yourself to get these pieces off of you. it definitely does take a mental toll on you, even if you are getting paid for it. There's a woman in this in another family in this community, and she wants to have a baby. She wants to have a baby. She finally ends up getting pregnant, but she doesn't have a good feeling about it. So she goes over to this family with the Caul, and she's asking them for their help. And at first they agree to help her. She has money. She can pay for it. But then something happens to where they decide at the last minute, you know what? No, I'm not going to be able to help you. After that, it's like a domino effect. So many things happen just from them saying no to her. It just, just a domino effect. Just a domino effect of terrible, terrible things. And that's kind of where the story really just takes off after that. These two families are connected throughout this entire book in so many ways. And I just love seeing how everything just came together. I just really enjoyed this book. I thought it was very unique. The concept, I thought it was very unique. I've never read a book with this type of, I read fantasy. Like, I've never heard of a book like this. So I was very impressed by her. And trigger warnings for miscarriage in that book as well. So a lot of trigger warnings in these books all year. Another book I want to talk about is Surrender by Rilzy Adams. This is a romance novel. It's pretty short. I read it in like one day. And when I tell y'all, this book is hot. It is. I enjoyed this book very much. So this book is about Yara and Lennox, who are college friends, and they make a pact during their while they're still in college. They make this pact that in 12 years, if neither of them are seeing anybody, then they should meet up wherever they are. They should meet up and have like a weekend of just exploring their sexual desires with each other. And Yara kind of like laughs it off like, yeah, whatever. Well, in 12 years, Lennox gives her that call like, you ready? Remember you said. And she's like, what are you even talking about? And he's like, nah, B, I need you to hop on that plane. Because remember, you told me you was going to come see me and we was going to get it popping. Well, she ends up deciding to go, and when I tell you, like, that whole weekend that they spent together was just, I just loved it. The sex was so good. Like, it was just so good. It was juicy. There was a side of kink. And Lennox, he is not my typical favorite type of main character dude. I like the hood dudes in my book, but Lennox actually had some slick talking to him. I was very surprised because he didn't seem like that type of dude, real like, clean cut, but he definitely has a dirty mouth, and I enjoyed reading it the whole time. The next book I want to talk about is The Hottest Summer Ever by Elijah R. Freeman, and I won't spend too much time on this one because I have a full review on this book, and I really enjoyed this book because it just has so many twists and turns. This is an urban fiction novel. Basically, Kush was living a good life. Her father was like this drug kingpin, and they were living a good life, and then when he ends up dying, her life pretty much implodes. She ends up, having to go to like a girl's home. Like, this girl has been through the ringer, like, for real. And one of the things that I really loved about Kush in this book is that she was just like, you know what, I gotta get in where I fit in. I have to make something happen for myself because nobody else is gonna do it for me. I don't condone robbing, but she did what she had to do to survive. She started robbing with her crew of friends, and some of those robberies went a little crazy. I would also, I mean, I understand that this is urban fiction, but I would also consider this to be a thriller because at a certain point, you don't know who's really down with her and who's not. And I enjoyed that about this book. A lot of twists and turns. A lot of twists and turns that I didn't see coming. A lot of people gonna die in this book. And I really enjoyed like not being able to foresee where the book was going to be going. It's definitely one that you want to pick up if you really want to be like entertained. Another book that I enjoyed was Just As I Am by Cicely Tyson. I do have a copy, but it's underneath some other books, so we're going to just look at this picture here. I really enjoy reading this book. It's so crazy that she ended up passing away, like, I think like right before the book ended up coming out. It was insane. So I knew that I absolutely had to read this book. And it really did not disappoint. I did listen to it on audio. She does not narrate this book. I still feel like Robin Miles did a really good job. She is one of my favorite narrators. And I think that she definitely did do it justice. The foreword by Viola Davis was absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I loved it. That part is narrated by Viola Davis. And she just, paying homage, Cicely Tyson, she had such a full life. Like, there were so many things in this book I had no idea. I mean, obviously, like, Cicely Tyson was like quite old, and by the time I was born, she was already kind of like up in age. So there's a lot of things that happened before I was even born, so I didn't know that she was even ever married to Miles Davis. So much drama with Miles Davis. I was like, what are the chicks pulling up on Cicely Tyson? Girl, I was like, oh, Cicely, you better than me, honey, because it was getting crazy. It was definitely some crazy moments in this book. I didn't even know that she had a daughter. And then when she explains how she ended up getting pregnant, all I could do really was just kind of shake my head, because this is what happens when you don't educate your kids and let them know how the body works. I'll just leave it at that because I don't want to spoil anybody. But just how she carried herself. Like, I finished this book and I was just thinking, she was just even more of a queen than I thought. Because she did not allow anybody to ruin this for her. Like, she was going to have a good career regardless of what this person thought, what this person tried to do. Like, you were not going to stop her bag at all. Like, she was not playing around. I do love that she had a career with such integrity. A lot of the roles when she was, first out there was, those blaxploitation movies and stuff like that. Like, she didn't want to do any of that stupid. She didn't want to do any of that stuff. And I appreciate that she was not trying to take no roles that had black people looking crazy out here. And I really appreciate it. And now it makes sense. The roles that Cicely Tyson did take on, like, they were always like prominent roles. They were always roles that other black people could see and actually like be proud of, So I really enjoyed that book for sure. The next book I want to talk about is The Woman in a Purple Skirt by Natsuko Imamura. And this little tiny book was such a surprise to me. I had heard about it because I was on one of those lists. I was reading one of those lists about translated fiction, and reading translated fiction has been kind of like just a forever goal of mine, to always try out translated fiction, to just expand my reading palette, because they be writing some good books in these other countries as well, and I am very thankful for these translators to bring it on over here to English so I could get in on some of these good books. And I'm very happy that I picked this one up. It's very, very short. It goes by very fast. This book is about the woman in a purple skirt, but we are watching her through the woman in a yellow cardigan. Now, The woman in the yellow cardigan is watching, stalking, obsessing over this woman in the purple skirt. Why? Because she really wants to be the woman in the purple skirt's friend. So this girl is going through all types of, I mean, she is going so far, the things that she would do to be in this other woman's life. Like, she doesn't want to actually like walk up to the woman and just start, hey, how are you? No, she's doing creepy shit, like peeping at the woman while she going in her crib, who going in and out of her crib. Like, I'm just like, what? Why are you there? How you know what she doing? She is peeping in windows. She is peeping between bushes to see what this woman is doing. And she's also doing things to try to bring this woman in the purple skirt closer to her. Like, this book was very entertaining for me. At first, when I was reading it, I think a lot of people also said this as well in their reviews. Like, when you're reading it and you're in it, it's kind of like, I don't know where this is going, but I'm going to keep reading. And when you just keep reading and it all finally makes sense at the end, like, that's literally when it will all make sense. Which is funny because you had to wait all the way to the end to get the big reveal on what the hell is really going on in this book. And it was so good. It was just very well done. I very much enjoyed it. The next book I want to talk about is Ace of Spades by Faridah, Abike, Iyimide. And this book was really good. Another YA that I really enjoyed. I think this is considered dark academia. I think so. But, you know, it's a thriller, basically. We follow these two students, Devin and Shiamaka, and they are the only two black students at this prestigious academy, which is a high school. I don't know, first of all, they're not cool. They, like, Shiamaka is, like, popular. She hangs with, you know, the popular crowd. And Devin, he's kind of, like, off by himself and, you know, just kind of doing his own thing. But what brings them together is that out of nowhere, someone named Aces starts spreading all these, like, saying all of their secrets and plastering it all over the school. Or just them two. Just their secrets. Nobody else in the school. This Aces person is completely targeting just the two of them. And they're also getting threatening messages from this Aces person. And they finally have decided to try to team up to see, like, what can we figure out? Like, what is the connection between the two of us other than we the only two black people in here? So when it finally gets to the big reveal on what is going on and who is Aces and everything, like, it just made me so angry. It just made me so angry. And that's when I know that I'm enjoying a book, is when I feel something. Like, I was feeling something. I was angry because this is the type of shit that happens in real life. Like, this ain't just on some thriller stuff. Like, this is real stuff that goes on. So it was really cool to see how she made it into a thriller. I was also very impressed when I found out that the author wrote this while she was in college, her freshman year. Like, I thought that was super dope. But yes, definitely pick this one up if you have some YA readers in your life. So the next book I enjoyed was For the Streets, Summer 2021 by Cion Lee. And y'all, this book is so good. Like, I'm like blushing right now. This book is just a roller coaster ride because, oh my god. Okay, so we follow Kior and Bishop, and these two, they both, like, at the beginning of this book, like, they ain't trying to be like with nobody like that. they want to like mess around. They got people that they mess around with. You know, Kior, she got her little honeys, a few ballers, you know, that spend bread on her, buy her stuff, and, you know, take her out to dinner if she wants. But she's also a boss chick. She has her own photography business, and I thought that that was so cool to put in the book because, you know, I like to read stories where women is getting their own money. I mean, they could take some of these dudes' money as well, but I like it when a woman has her own money. That's just my own personal preference. And I love to see that in a book. Like, listen, I don't need you. I want you here, but I don't need you. Okay? And I love that at first Caul wasn't really feeling Bishop, you know, because she had tried to come at him mad long ago and he kind of turned her down, and she was just like, what? Like, who don't want me? Like, and she wasn't feeling that, but that made for, you know, her to be even more intrigued by him, you know, because she's not used to somebody telling her no. When I tell you that these two are like so toxic, like so toxic together, and then their birthdays is on the same date. They're both Leos, and I've always said two Leos do not belong together. That is not gonna work, okay? And I love that they were both born on the same day, and it really fit. Like, it was just so real, because you know that two Leos would just not be together. It just would not work. And this is exactly how it would work if two Leos was trying to be getting together like that, you know. And the games that the both of these two was playing with each other, I was just like, yo, this is making for a good book. But if this was one of my friends, I'd be like, girl, move on. Like, y'all do not belong together. Please move on. Leave this guy alone. He's crazy. You know, she did crazy things trying to get his attention. Like, just the up and down of it all. Drama with her friends. Like, oh my God. Like, this book was good. It's short, but like so much happens in these 150 pages. Like, so much happens in this book. I really felt like I read like a full-on, you know, 250 page novel. That's how much stuff happens in this book, and I just really enjoyed it. Like, this was exactly the urban romance that I have been looking for all damn summer, and Cion Lee definitely brought it. The next book I want to talk about is Chlorine Sky by Mahogany L. Browne, and I just love this book so much. This is another YA novel written in verse. Mahogany L. Browne is a poet, and every time a poet writes a book, it's going to slap, okay? And she does not disappoint. This is her first like fiction novel, and she really knocked it out the park. I'm actually reading her latest fiction novel right now, Vinyl Moon. So, thoughts on that later. This book really hit me in my heart, for real. We are following this young girl as she's in high school, and we're just following this young girl as she just tries to, you know, navigate life. She gets made fun of for being dark skinned. Her friend is just shitty as hell, you know, just so bad. Her sister is terrible as well. And she is really just, this is a coming of age novel for real. Like, she is really just trying to figure out, like, the type of person that she wants to be, you know, the type of people that she wants to be around. And it was just beautiful to just see her grow from the beginning of this book to the very end. And now we get to my top 5 books of the year. If you don't like any of these 5, I don't know what to tell you. Number 5 is going to be The Dragons, the Giant, the Women by Wayetu Moore. This memoir is pretty much about Wayetu and her family trying to escape the Liberian Civil War and trying to get to the U.S. where Wayetu's mom is. She's been studying in the U.S. and, you know, the family is trying to get to it. Trying to get to her. Wayetu has her siblings with her, And it's just her father and her grandmother. And when I tell you, the books literally start straight in the middle of it. Her being 5 years old and things that her father said to her to try to keep her calm as they are literally running out of their house, running for safety. When I tell you guys that my blood pressure was up reading this book, like, I was just like, oh my god, are they gonna make it? Like, I mean, I know Wayetu lives because she wrote the book, but like, what about everybody else? What about her siblings? What about her father? Is he gonna make it? Like, oh my god, her father is such a good guy. Like, her father was just like, oh my god. Like, her mom is just so lucky to have him. Like, that is a husband, okay? The things that he, like, how he held it down was just, oh my gosh. I just loved it. I just loved it so much. And we get to see, like, when Wayetu, you know, gets a bit older, we do get some of, like, you know, her and her adult years and stuff. And I love how you see in the book how this title makes so much sense once you read the book. Because when I saw the title, I was like, what does that even mean? The giant, like, what does that mean? But when she breaks it down and you understand, it's like, she really did that. Like, that was smart. That was good. And it is written in such a way that even if you don't mess with nonfiction like that, you would be able to read this with no problem. It's very readable. It is written like fiction. Like, it was written like I was reading a fiction novel. Some of the things that happen in this book is just like, oh my god, like, this really took place. Like, this is real life. This book is so very well done. It makes me definitely want to pick up She Would Be King, which is Wayetu's YA fantasy novel. Coming in at number 4, we have Reprieve by James Han Mattson. And I really enjoyed this book. This is like a horror thriller. It takes place mostly at a full impact escape room. Now, first of all, I was like, well, what the hell is a full impact escape room? I have been to an escape room before. But what is full impact? Apparently, full impact is where there's actual actors in this escape room with you and your group of people, and they can do things to you physically, like push you and like put their hands on you and stuff. And I was like, see, this is why this is fiction, because that would not go over well in real life at all. But it definitely had me intrigued to pick it up, because I was like, clearly some crazy things is going on. This book follows such a diverse cast of characters that I was just like, oh, it was just so well done, because each of these characters, you get their backstory. And it's not no just, you know, little snippet. Like, it is a fully fleshed out backstory to it. You feel like you really know these people and what they would do and what they wouldn't do. Like, the themes in this book are just like, you know, on racism, on, you know, tokenism, capitalism. And I love that it also explores why, as human beings, we are so obsessed with being scared. You know, what is our obsession with that? And I love the comments. I just love so much of the social commentary in this book. I mean, this guy was just dropping gems upon gems in this horror book, and I was very surprised. I didn't expect that. And I love that the characters are very diverse, but it's not in a way to where it feels like that. You know those books where it's just like they had a list and they was just checking it off, like, all right, we got a gay, we got a black woman, we got no, to where it just don't even make sense. Like, these all made sense the way it all just came together and just connected. And I was very impressed. Very, very impressed. You know, the cover don't really give you much of anything, but definitely what's inside the book is for sure worth picking up. Coming in at number 3, we have Yonder by Jabari Asim, or Asim? I think it's Asim. This actually came out January 11th this year, but I read it early because I wanted to prepare for January. So I'm putting it on this list. I don't care. Okay? This book was so good. Like, so good. I felt it. You know, you ever feel a book in your chest? Like, you just like, yes, the way he just wrote what he just wrote. This is a slave narrative now. But I want to say that it is not your average slave narrative. I love that he does his own thing. This author does his own thing. I love that he refers to the enslaved as the stolen. Okay? And he refers to the slavers as thieves. And I mean, let's keep it real. That's exactly what they were. So why not? I mean, when we started the book that way, I was like, all right, I like what I'm hearing. Like, I like what I'm hearing. We follow 4 characters. We follow mainly 2 characters, Cato and William, and we get their backstories. But we also follow 2 other women as well. But just not as closely. We mostly follow the 2 men, and these are all stolen people, and we get their backstories on how they all came to be at this one plantation. And this book is just, when I tell you, I was just highlighting and highlighting and highlighting. You won't see it in here because I did most of my highlighting in my on my Kindle. So I wanted to keep this cover nice, and I wanted to keep this copy nice and pristine. But so many gems, like so many quotes. I mean, just every page, I practically highlighted this entire book by just so many lines on just black love. You know, like even back then was like so much despair, and it's just like these people dared to love. They didn't think we could. They didn't think that we could love, and we had feelings, and we felt things. And this book is just basically showing like we did, we do, we did, and we do, you know. And I just feel like everybody should read this book. Like, everyone should read this book, especially black people. Like, I just love so much of the things that was written in this book. And I see that he is a poet. And you know what I have to say about that. And I was just like, see, no wonder. Coming in at number 2, we have The Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois. I cannot find my copy. I don't know where it is. It's a very large book, but I don't know where this copy is. But anyway, we're gonna get to it. This is an 800-page epic masterpiece. What do you want me to say? That's it. Okay, historical fiction masterpiece. This book is one of my favorite kinds of novels. It is a multi-generational saga, and we follow these generations of women in this family that have been through so much. In this book, we are following, in the present day, we are following this girl named Ishle. We pretty much follow her from when she is a kid to when she is a full-on adult in college. And the book flips back and forth. It flips from, you know, present day, which is Ishle's storyline. We're also getting her ancestor's story. This story was just so beautiful. There's a lot of things in this book that are hard to read. We've got trigger warnings for death of a parent, miscarriage, addiction, you name it. There's a lot of hard truths in this book, but you know, you can't deny it. You can't leave that stuff out. And I love that at the back of the book, the author lists all of her sources for how this book all came together. I saw that it took her 10 years to write, and I believe it. So coming in at number 1, we have Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee. That should come as no surprise. I love this. I love this series. If I could have put all 3 of the books on here, I would have, because I loved all of them. This series from Jade City, which is book number 1, Jade War, book number 2, and Jade Legacy. This is one of the greatest fantasy series I've ever read. It is just that good. And this one is huge, okay? But it doesn't matter. It does not matter. There is so much in this book that happens. Like, I could not have asked for a better conclusion to a series ever. I could not have asked for more. Like, Fonda Lee did that, okay? She tied up those loose ends. She didn't leave us hanging. I mean, each book, she did not leave us hanging. She did what she was supposed to do. And I am very satisfied. There is nothing for me to complain about. We have seen some of these characters, we've seen them grow up from a kid, from like a baby to, you know, an adult, to what they're going to be in the clan. Like, this series is just so good. I keep talking about it and y'all still ain't pick it up. I don't understand. But this is the conclusion in the Greenbone saga. If you love mafia movies, clan wars is real, y'all. Like, these clan wars was so serious, so entertaining. The world building is top notch. It's so